Welcome into REEL Biz. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today from SEO Optimizers, Brandon Leibowitz. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on today.
An absolute pleasure. We're going to talk about some podcasting. We're obviously going to cover SEO and your new book and all kinds of great stuff. But before we get into all of that, really just want to give you an opportunity. Give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll pick it up from there.
My name is Brandon Leibowitz, and I first got involved with digital marketing back in 2007. After I graduated from college, one of the first jobs I was offered was doing SEO, which I didn't really know much about it. I told the company that, and they said, "Don't worry, we're new to this as well, and we're going to learn with you, taking you to different classes and workshops and seminars." And after doing that for a few months, I just realized everyone is probably going to have a website in the future. SEO is a way to get free traffic. And I thought to myself, like, who doesn't want free traffic? And that got me sticking with this SEO over the years, working at different advertising agencies. And before work, after work, and on my lunch breaks, I work on my own company and eventually built that up to where I was able to quit my job and been doing this ever since, helping people tap into that traffic.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And obviously amplified even more now with AI, kind of replacing search engines or augmenting them. I guess replacing them is pretty strong language, but it's kind of built into everything that we do now when we search. Can you talk about that transition? Because it feels like it's happened rather overnight in AI, a huge hot topic of conversation pretty much anywhere you go now. But I'm sure someone like yourself has seen this coming over the last maybe 3 years at least.
Yep. No, it's AI has been around for a while, but it's just really picked up recently and is not going to slow down anytime soon because it just kind of gives you the answer right there. It doesn't always give you the right answer, which is the tricky part with AI, with those AI hallucinations, and it makes things up when it doesn't know the answer. But it's changed how people search, and people are wherever they're searching, we want to optimize for that, whether they're searching on Google or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever platform. We got to make sure that we are optimizing to make sure we get that visibility wherever anybody is potentially going to be looking and searching for you.
Well, and without getting too far into the weeds, personally, I'm curious, and I'm sure our listeners are as well. What has changed about the optimization now moving into the with AI doing a lot of the searching and finding of the information?
Most of the SEO best practices are still what helps you rank in the different platforms. So it's not much has really changed too much. It's changed more of where people search, but they're still looking at the same signals, like doing keyword research, putting those keywords into the coding on your website in different areas, adding schema, which is a programming language that was created about 10 years ago and helps the search engines better understand your website, also helps the LLMs understand your website, having like frequently asked questions, FAQs, but all that stuff has been around for over a decade and it's just general SEO best practices. But one big one is building trust and getting backlinks or getting mentioned on other third-party sites to help build that trust, because keywords are great, but third-party sites build that trust to solidify that you really are who you say you are. And just making sure that you employ all those best practices and you'll start showing up in the LLMs. I mean, the only difference is really like the sentences that people search might be a little bit different than like traditional Google searches are going to be more keywords. AI, if people are speaking into their phone, it's voice search and it's changing the whole search by adding prepositions and sentences and not just keywords. So trying to target sentences that people might be searching, but all that has been around since voice search came around in, I think, 2013, somewhere around there. So it's nothing too new. It's just now exponentially much more important than it was previously.
Yeah, I love that. It really is not, it's not a brand new system that's been introduced. It's an evolution of a system that was already there. Hence why everything that you were doing before is still working. You just may be adding to some of these things now because like you said, the place where people are going to search. We're not going to ask Jeeves anymore, right? As we were in the early 2000s, and all of the, I think all of the search engines at this point, Google obviously being the behemoth that it is, are all using AI inside of those search engines to provide the answers that the end user are looking for.
Yep. No, Google's been using AI for same thing over a decade. Like all this stuff is not new. It's just ChatGPT put it out to the public, and once it was out to the public, then it slowly started to get more widespread adoption. But AI has been around for decades. I think even like 40 or 50 years ago, people were working on AI. So it's nothing new. It's just now we all have access to it where we could tap into AI and start having it help us out. Whereas in the past, like Google just kept it for themselves. They weren't really sharing that AI or machine learning and how their algorithms are working.
Yeah, if you were curious on how they rose to the level that they did, well, I'd say that AI was probably in the background of a lot of those advancements that were happening, unbeknownst to the general public. So, not a lot has changed on what you're doing necessarily, but it has changed on, where you put it out there. How important is it then, and moving into, the topic of your book as well, is, guesting on other, building those backlinks out with podcasting. How important is that to business owners and entrepreneurs now?
That part has always been important, getting published on other people's websites, but even more so nowadays because getting published on a website, a third party site, is very important. But the more sites that you're on, the better you're going to be. And in the past, search engines didn't really look too much at social media, but now they are looking at social media. So when you're a guest on someone's podcast, they'll publish that podcast episode on their website. They'll also share it on social media, on different podcast players. So now your name starts to show up everywhere. And that's what the LLMs want to see, is that you're not just on websites, but you're on all these other platforms that traditional search engines weren't really looking at too much. But now got to be everywhere. So guest podcasting is great because it taps into that. You're on someone's show, they're going to share it on a bunch of different places. I could also share the episodes that I was a guest on my own social channels, my own blog, and just gets more people talking about it. And the more people that talk about it, the more trust you're going to get. And that's going to help move you up those rankings.
Made me feel a little bit more important than I probably am, Brandon. But I appreciate, you creating a commercial for people to be coming on REEL Biz for now and well into the future.
It helps out. A lot of people don't realize the SEO value of being a guest on podcasts. They just look at being a guest as great visibility, get subject matter expertise, you get content for your social media. But I like it because you get that backlink, getting another website to publish you. So I kind of went all in. I had my own podcast in 2020. And then 6 months into doing my own podcast, someone asked me to be a guest on their podcast. And that got me to realize that being a guest on someone else's podcast is going to be great visibility exposure, but it's also going to help me with an SEO backlink. Then I kind of went all in, and I've been a guest on over 300 podcasts. And that's really helped grow my business, get me all these backlinks, get me ranking higher, get me more visibility. And that is then what I decided to write the book about, which I published a few months ago, called The Power of Guest Podcasting. And it kind of explains all that in detail, but it really kind of focuses a little bit more on the SEO side of things, which a lot of people don't realize or don't look at it. I show you how to make sure that every guest podcast episode passes on as much SEO value as possible, because sometimes they don't pass on SEO value. And that's where we got to make sure that they mention your name, mention your website URL, put you in the show notes or the description, or publish you on their website. Because sometimes these episodes get published without mentioning your website URL. They might mention my Facebook page or my Instagram page, but I need them to mention my website URL, because that's going to help my website move up higher in the rankings.
Yeah, and it's a key to all of it. It may be something that I'm failing on right now as a podcast host and not being conscious of some of the ways that I can be further helping the people that we're having on our show every single day of the week. So it's really, a value to not just the podcast guests, but also the book I think would be extremely valuable to podcasters as well to know how they're actually helping people, because you're opening my eyes to a lot of things that maybe I have not been focused on as much as I should be, and delivering more value than I really even thought that I had.
The biggest low hanging fruit, I feel like, for most podcast hosts is taking every podcast episode and putting it on their website as a blog post, because blogging is important, but blogging takes a lot of time, and most people don't want to write blog posts or don't have time to write blog posts. But every episode that you record can become a blog post that you publish on your own website. And then if someone's searching, like for example, my topic right now, if someone's searching for SEO or guest podcasting strategies, that blog post that you publish can start to potentially rank for those keywords. But the bigger thing is, if you publish me on your website, then you, after the episode's recorded, you tell me, hey, Brandon, here's a link to where the podcast is live, and it's on your website. It has the embedded player, the YouTube player, all that stuff, all the content is all on that one landing page. Now, instead of me sharing a Facebook or a YouTube video, I'm going to share your website to my audience, and I'm going to help you get backlinks. So it kind of works both ways, because now instead of sharing YouTube on my Facebook page, I'm going to share your website URL. So you're going to get traffic, you're going to get visibility, you're going to get backlinks, and it really helps out exponentially.
Fantastic. You're giving me a lot of homework here, Brandon, and I appreciate that. We started our podcast rather on a whim because I enjoyed having conversations, and I realized that the independent artist, of which I really built the initial show and the scene projects around, just needed someone to talk to them. Just needed to be able to share their story. And now moving into this year where we've started REEL Biz, that I want to be able to provide the most value that I can for the small business owners and entrepreneurs of the world that need it just as bad as an artist does, that extra promotion. But beyond that, the SEO and the AI SEO, right, that is going into how the world runs right now and helping them be seen online in the best, not only the best light possible, but making it more efficient for them to be found as well.
Yep, that's an important part, is being more efficient to be found. And sometimes doing less, but doing more of the right thing is going to be better than doing more and just trying to do all these extra things. But there's all this low hanging fruit and things that could just help move the needles. And that's where I put them in the book. But especially for podcast hosts, is making those standalone pages is low hanging fruit. That's going to help everybody. And the more we help each other, the more we're all going to win. And that's what it all comes down to, is not just trying to help myself out, but making sure we all grow and we all get lifted up and get more visibility.
Yeah, well, and with 1,000 episodes now under my belt, I've done some of this for some episodes, but I got a lot of catching up to do, Brandon.
It could be a lot of work, and that's where just picking and choosing and slowly doing it, or doing one a week, or, well, if you have 1,000, that's going to take a while, but trying to just little by little get them done. And then you're going to start seeing your visibility, your traffic is also going to start growing, and more people are going to be going to your website versus going to a YouTube channel or a YouTube player that has distractions and noise and advertisements for other people in it that can distract from your ultimate message.
Well, and maybe that's a great point to kind of talk more about your company with SEO optimizers, and obviously you're working with businesses that are out there. They're trying to rank on these. They're trying to become using the search engines to build their authority and to ultimately gain more customers. What's maybe a few easy tips for people who are doing their own websites to really think about when they're starting out, or even if they're, trying to, revamp an old website and get it a little more current?
Keyword research is probably a good starting point, that a lot of people skip over keyword research. And it's one of the most fundamental starting basic areas of digital marketing in general. It's not just for SEO, but it could be for anything, for keyword research, for podcast titles or blog post titles or any content you're putting out there. Even my book, doing keyword research to figure out which keywords get the most search volume and have good buyer intent and low competition. And then finding those keywords using tools like the Google Keyword Planner. It's a free tool from Google that shows you how many people search for your keyword every single month. So you could see if a singular or plural or a synonym or some other variation of a word could get you more traffic. One of my clients, they're a personal injury law firm, and they want to rank for personal injury lawyer, which is good. It gets 10,000 searches each month in Los Angeles. But personal injury lawyers, plural, gets 100,000 searches each month. So they're able to 10x their traffic just by changing one letter on their keyword. And that's why keyword research is really important, that it doesn't take that long, but it could significantly increase your traffic or decrease it. If you are just guessing, you might get it right. You might also get it wrong. And taking the time to use Google Keyword Planner or another tool is going to help significantly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like myself start with how it looks. We want it to look good, but often, and especially to these search engines and the AI now in the background, they're not looking like we look as human beings. They are looking for that metadata and the schema, and these keywords are much more important than the pretty colors or the font that you choose.
Yep. People build websites that look pretty, which is good for people, but pretty websites don't really help too much with SEO because search engines and LLMs are looking at the code, looking for keywords in different areas and trying to associate relevancy. But same with also for people. Like, pretty websites are great for people, but they don't necessarily get conversions. And when you build a website, you shouldn't just focus on making it look aesthetically pleasing. You gotta make sure it also converts and has a good call to action, a good funnel to get people from your website into whatever you're trying to get them to do, whether it's call you or email you or buy that product.
Incredible stuff, Brandon. You're a busy guy, so I don't want to keep you too long here. Anything we didn't cover before I let you get out of here that you want to make sure we get out there?
I would say be patient with all this. With SEO, it's not an overnight explosion of traffic. We all want that, but it's slow, natural growth with the organic side of things. Don't get discouraged if you don't just see your traffic start taking off. Little wins are what you want. So you just want to see over time that it's increasing and it's just going to keep growing and growing, but stick with it. SEO takes time. And that's the biggest thing, is don't just get discouraged.
Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us. Everyone can check out his website, SEOoptimizers.com. You can find his book, The Power of Guest Podcasting. That's on Amazon, and I'm sure you can search for it anywhere out there, and you're going to find it. Brandon, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, giving me a little bit of homework as well and some enlightenment on the episode today. And thank you for being part of the scene.
I'm glad to share my knowledge, and thank you for having me on.